everyone. This is Karen.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Shane.
Today we're looking at part 2 of the history of vaccines. And the vocabulary words are discovery.
Discovery.
In 2009, scientists announced the discovery of water on the moon.
Unintended.
Unintended.
During testing, it was found that the drug had a number of unintended side effects.
Consequence.
Consequence.
The consequences of climate change can be clearly observed.
Scientific.
Scientific.
We learned about the scientific method in school today.
Numerous.
Numerous.
For numerous reasons, Sophia decided to change schools. So we were talking about, the history of vaccines, right?
Right.
So what was that? Is it a doctor called Edward Jenner?
Jenner, right.
That's right. The world's first vaccine. The person who invented the first vaccine.
Basically, yeah. And he was only 13 years old. And he overheard a dairymaid say something like, I've had cowpox, so I'm not ever going to get smallpox. So this made him start thinking. And then one day he decided to give a boy cowpox.
Okay.
And so the boy got the cowpox because it's not very deadly, just quite uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So he got over the cowpox and then he injected him with smallpox.
Like a month later, a few months later.
And then the boy didn't get smallpox.
So there is a relation between cowpox and smallpox, and that was the world's first vaccine.
Right. And so there's been, of course, since the history of it, now people need to get vaccines. There's so many diseases that have gone away because when we're babies now, we get vaccines. Some people think that they're unsafe, or maybe there's a connection to autism. But
Anti-vaxxers.
Anti-vaxxers. But there's no scientific proof for that. So get your vaccines. If you can get the COVID vaccine, get that because that will help the whole community, the whole world.
You're right.
Right?
Okay, well, let's learn more about the history of vaccines.
Enjoy.
The history of vaccines.
In 1796, Jenner inoculated an 8-year-old boy named James Phipps with cowpox. After a few days of fever and discomfort, the boy recovered. A few months later, Jenner inoculated him again, this time with smallpox. The boy did not get sick. Jenner's plan had worked. The boy was now immune to the disease, and Jenner had invented the world's first vaccine.
Today's lesson is called The History of Vaccines, Part 2. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Mike. We are here today, many of us, because of vaccines. They've protected us for a very long time against very many diseases.
Mike.
Yes.
Let's get back to it.
We're going to get back to it. Edward Jenner was the first guy to really focus on this idea of, hey, if we take a mild form of a sickness, give it to ourselves, can we then use that to protect us against a stronger form of a sickness?
That was the idea.
That was the idea.
And this is awesome, everyone.
This is pretty cool.
Here's this disease that's been killing people for thousands of years.
Smallpox.
And Edward Jenner is going to solve this problem of smallpox, basically.
Yeah.
Smallpox becomes a non-issue almost overnight, so to speak. That's pretty awesome. Anyways, in 1796, Jenner inoculated an 8-year-old boy named James Phipps with cowpox, and after a few days of fever and discomfort, it was mild. Everything was mild. Don't worry. After all of this, the boy recovered. The boy recovered.
There you go. So he gave him this terrible disease. Well, it wasn't. It was cowpox. Remember, that was the one the dairymaids got on their hands. It didn't make them that sick. So his idea was, can we use cowpox to protect against something more dangerous? Well, he tried it out. A few months later, Jenner inoculated him, the boy James Phipps, again. this time with smallpox.
He gave the kid smallpox.
The very deadly smallpox.
Yes.
So he's testing this out on a live subject. This is highly illegal today, and you should not do this. They don't do it this way today. But this is 1796, and it was an idea, and he tried it out. And what happened?
The boy did not get sick.
Given one of the most deadly diseases in human history, the boy was fine.
The boy was fine. Edward Jenner's plan had worked. The boy was now immune to the disease, and Jenner had invented the world's first vaccine.
So he used the mild sickness to protect against the stronger sickness by teaching the body how to fight it off.
Bravo.
There you go. That's how you do it. And that's how you bring us up to a break too. But we're not done with vaccines, not by a long shot. So come on back.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。我们在第一天的课文读到，英国医生 Edward Jenner， 他在13岁的时候，曾经听到一名酪农场的女工说，她因为得过这个牛痘，所以不会得到天花。后来 Edward Jenner 成为医生之后，他就决定要测试看看牛痘病毒能不能用来预防天花。好，那么在1796年，他就帮一名8岁男孩来接种牛痘。经过几天的发烧和不适，这个男孩他就康复了。然后呢，几个月之后，他再帮这个男孩来接种天花。结果男孩真的没有生病诶，他就对这个天花免疫了。于是呢 ，Edward Jenner 他就发明出世界上第一支疫苗。那刚刚 Jeff 老师谈到天花在过去几千年造成了许多人死亡，他不由得赞叹 Edward Jenner 的成就。老师这时候用到 awesome。awesome 就是形容非常棒的、令人惊叹的。老师还有讲了好几次的 bravo，bravo 是用来喝彩的感叹词，就是表达说好极了、棒极了。好，那我们接着回到课文中。
The history of vaccines.
After Jenner's discovery, it took more than 80 years for scientists to develop new vaccines. In 1885, French chemist Louis Pasteur developed a vaccine for rabies. Over the course of the following 130-odd years, scientists would go on to create vaccines to protect people against many other diseases. Despite the success of vaccines, there has been a growing anti-vaccination movement in countries across the world. The movement's supporters claim that vaccines are unsafe and have a number of unintended health consequences. For example, many anti-vaxxers believe that there is a link between vaccines and autism. However, the scientific community has proven these claims to be false.
Okay, after Jenner's discovery, and again, bravo, it took more than 80 years for scientists to develop new vaccines. But they knew where to go and how to do this. Smallpox was on the ropes, so to speak. It was not going to be a menace for humanity for much longer. Anyways, here we're talking about a discovery, and here this word discovery is a noun, okay? When we're talking about a discovery, we're talking about the initial finding of something significant, okay? For example, in 2009, scientists announced the discovery of water on the moon. No one had ever found water on the moon before, but then in 2009, these scientists did. Anyways, this whole time we've kind of been in England talking about Edward Jenner. Let's move to the continent there. How about France?
Well, yeah, the next big name in vaccines was Louis Pasteur. In 1885, French chemist Louis Pasteur developed a vaccine for rabies. He was also the guy who discovered if you boil stuff, you kill a lot of the things in it. We have pasteurized milk, that milk that is much safer to drink and lasts a lot longer. It's pasteurized milk. It says it right there on the box because of Louis Pasteur. And of course, rabies, that's the one you get from those mad dogs that are frothing at the mouth, and it can bite you and lead to this hydrophobia. You can't drink water. You go crazy. Really dangerous, really bad disease. You don't want rabies. Well, you don't have to because Louis Pasteur, He invented a vaccine, or this protective medicine, against that terrible disease.
Yeah. Now, over the course of the following 130-odd years, scientists would go on to create vaccines to protect people against many other diseases.
Yes.
Yay! Now, despite the success of vaccines, there has been a growing anti-vaccination movement in countries across the world. And it says countries, but I think we're all thinking of one country, the United States.
Well, you know, in France, a lot of people are also for there's other places in the world.
All
But
right.
yes, there are people now who start to question the science, and the internet, of course, spreads a lot of these rumors and bad information about vaccines. But what do anti-vaccination people say? The movement supporters claim that vaccines are unsafe and have a number of unintended health consequences. They're a little afraid of them. A lot of it, well, most of it, in fact, all of it, is bad science. These vaccines have been tested and tested and tested again, but these people say that they're dangerous for some reason. They have unintended health consequences, and maybe are bad for you. Again, bad science. Unintended, not planned, not foreseen. If you do something and everything happens the way you wanted it to happen, or you thought it would happen, that's all intended. If something that happens that you didn't think would happen, that is unintended, not planned, not foreseen. You didn't expect it to happen. For example, during testing, it was found that the drug had a number of unintended side effects. We thought it would help people with their sore throat, but then we discovered it also makes their eyes really dry. That's an unintended consequence. We didn't plan for that.
But that's okay. The kid won't get the disease. Gets dry eyes for a couple of days, but then doesn't get the disease. Think back to Jenner. The kid gets cowpox. Mild symptoms for a couple of days, then doesn't get smallpox. You gotta weigh the good and the bad. Give me a break. Anyways, here we've got the word consequence. Usually when we're talking about consequences, we're talking about the harmful effects that come about because of something that was done. Okay, so someone gets a vaccine and something bad happens because of that. Okay, that would be a consequence. Although usually when you get a vaccine, nothing happens. That's the good thing. There isn't a consequence. You don't get a disease that could kill you.
They've been tested many times.
That's the beauty of the whole vaccine thing. Yeah. Anyways, for example, the consequences of climate change can be clearly observed. Anyways, for example, many anti-vaxxers, people who don't believe in vaccination, for example, many anti-vaxxers believe that there is a link between vaccines and autism. And one of the people who believe in this is the president, or the former president of the United States, Donald Trump.
Yes, but it's bad science. However, the scientific community has proven these claims to be false. There was some bad science published 20 years ago. People looked at it, got scared. The scientific community tested these ideas again and again, couldn't come up with the same bad consequences, decided that was just bad science. Because the scientific community is all about testing, retesting, and then testing what they tested before to make sure the tests show it's still true.
And then have other people test
And then have other people test that too, all over the world. That's how science works. When we talk about things related to science, we're talking about scientific things. Scientific journals, scientific research, scientific news in the newspapers or somewhere like that. It has to do with science. For example, we learned about the scientific method in school today, which is basically test, and retest, and make sure it always works out the same way.
There you go. All right, folks, it's time for a break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Edward Jenner 的发现打败了天花，那么后来科学家就花了80多年开发出新的疫苗。Charles 老师刚刚用到 on the ropes 来描述天花这种疾病被打败。那么 on the ropes 这个片语呢，就是表达处于困境、即将失败的意思。再看单字 discovery。Discovery 表示发现，它是当名词。老师这时候还有用到 finding 这个字 ，finding，finding 也可以表达发现或是调查结果。好，那么接着呢，在1885年，法国化学家路易巴斯德他开发出狂犬病疫苗。我们补充一下 ，Rabies。 Rabies 就是狂犬病。另外有一个字是恐水症的意思 ，hydrophobia。它也可以当作狂犬病的别称，因为有一些狂犬病患者他们会出现恐水的现象。我们来拼一下哦 ，hydrophobia hydrophobia。好，那么有一些动物或是人感染狂犬病之后，可能会有口吐白沫的状况。Mike 老师这时候用到 froth 这个动词 ，froth，froth， 它是表达可能因为疾病而口吐白沫。好，我们再补充一下，有时候我们在卖场的时候会看到 pasteurized milk， 它是指巴氏杀菌牛乳，其中这个 pasteurized 有没有觉得这字很熟悉呢 ？P-A-S-T-E-U-R-I-Z-E-D， 好，前面这个 P-A-S-T-E-U-R 这个部分就是来自那位法国化学家的名字，对不对？好 ，pasteurized 杀菌的。好，那么课文接着写到说，在接下来130多年中，科学家接着开发出保护人们抵抗其他许多疾病的疫苗。那么尽管疫苗很成功，但是世界各国反对疫苗接种的运动仍在持续增加当中。好，这边还有5个重点。第一个是 over the course of something， 或是 in the course of something， 或是 during the course of something， 它是表达在什么期间，在什么过程中。例如They moved several times over the course of a decade. 他们在10年期间，在10年过程中搬家搬了好几次。第二个重点是数字搭配 odd 的用法。odd 常常接在数字的后面，来表达说略多于什么，大约什么什么，这是用来表达略高于某个数字的意思。例如 He's been making movies for 30 odd years. 他拍摄电影已经拍了30多年了。第三个重点 go on 它表示继续接着做。那我们以下介绍2种常见用法哦。第一个是 go on to 加上原形动词，是表达说做完某一件事之后接着去做下一件事。例如 He introduced himself and went on to show us around the office. 他先自我介绍，接着带我们去四处参观办公室。第二个用法则是 go on 加上动词 ing， 这只是表达说继续做已经在进行的事情。例如 She went on working after hanging up the phone. 她挂完电话之后继续工作。第4个重点，介系词 despite 它表示尽管虽然，后面是要接名词、动名词或者是名词子句。好，例如 Despite his success,The actor kept his feet on the ground. 尽管那位演员有所成就，他仍然脚踏实地。第5个重点 ，There has been a growing 加名词，就是表达已有越来越多的什么什么。其中的 there has been 就是 there 搭配 be 动词的时态变化，用现在完成式来表达。好，例如There has been a growing concern about climate change in recent years. 近年来，气候变迁越来越受到关注了。好，那我们接着来听听看那一些反对疫苗接种运动的人是怎么说的。那些人呢，就声称说疫苗不安全，而且对健康会有一些意想不到的后果。不过科学界已经证明那些说法是错的了。好，这边有3个单字 ，unintended。Unintended 它是形容无意的、意想不到的。麦克老师用到一个动词是 foresee F-O-R-E-S-E-E foresee 它表示预料、预见、预知的意思。那它的动词3态是 foresee foresaw foreseen。下一个单字 consequence 它表示结果、后果，通常是指不好的结果。好，那么 scientific 则是形容科学的。介绍课文中
The history of vaccines.
Today, vaccines are responsible for numerous global public health successes. Countless cases of disease have been prevented, and millions of lives have been saved, and it is all thanks to vaccines.
Okay, everyone, let's wrap up our lesson. Today, vaccines are responsible for numerous global public health successes, like the eradication of smallpox.
Hey, remember that time I had diphtheria? Yeah,
No,
I never had.
no.
Oh, remember that time I had whooping cough? Yeah, no, that didn't happen.
No, that didn't happen. And remember that time that anyone got smallpox?
Nope.
Nope. Because of vaccines. Anyways, here we have the word numerous. Numerous means many. So vaccines are responsible for a lot of, or many, global public health successes. Yay for vaccines. For example, for numerous reasons, Sophia decided to change schools. She had a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
She had many reasons.
Absolutely.
That's it.
There you go. So countless cases, countless, we're talking billions, countless cases of disease have been prevented and millions of lives have been saved. And it is all thanks to vaccines. Things that you don't have to worry about. Read a history book about people 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Read, even some fiction like Shakespeare or things like that. People died of these things all the time, all over the place, all the time, and we don't. And that's largely because of vaccines and, soap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyways, folks, that's it with our article. Now it's time for the What Do You Think question. Mike, I think I already know your answer to this question, but are vaccines good or bad for public health, and why?
I say that vaccines are good because I've never gotten smallpox.
Measles?
Nope, not measles.
Mumps?
Nope.
Rubella?
Maybe not.
Okay.
Chickenpox once.
There's no is there a vaccine?
I think
they might be. I think there might be one now.
But there is now. But when I was a kid, there wasn't, and it was really painful, and it was really terrible. And if adults got chickenpox, it was really serious. So again, another one that you guys don't have to worry about, and this is a good thing.
Not getting diseases.
And pretty
is a good
soon
thing.
we'll be able to travel because of the COVID-19 vaccine, and that's a good thing too.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Big time. All right, folks, with that, today's lesson is now in the books, and it's time for us to say bye-bye.
Take care.
课文最后写道，现今疫苗是许多全球公共卫生成功的原因，因为有了疫苗，数百万的生命得到了拯救，那么许多疾病也走入了历史。好，我们文中它用到单字 numerous 就可以形容是许多的、大量的，后面要接复数可数名词。那我们最后来补充几个老师没有提到的疾病。第一个是 diphtheria 它是表达白喉的意思。那么 whooping cough 它表示百日咳，还有 measles 表示麻疹，还有 mumps 是指流行性腮腺炎，还有 rubella 表示德国麻疹。那么还有 chickenpox， 我们先前不是有学到这个 cowpox 还有 smallpox， 那我们来学一下 chickenpox 表示水痘。还有一个也蛮常听到的是 polio polio 表示小儿麻痹症。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学列组开，马上回来哦。
Bonjour! Have you ever tried a delicious baguette? Every day, French bakers wake up before sunrise to start making baguettes for their hungry customers. Baguettes are also called French bread, French loaves, or French sticks because of their long shape. Baguette actually means wand or stick in French. The bread is a simple but important part of French culture and cuisine that started at least 200 years ago. The crust has to be crispy and baked to perfection in a special oven. A law passed in 1920 saying that bakers were not allowed to start working until after 4 a.m. That led to the popularity of baguettes because that could be prepared quickly. Now, bakeries all over the world make baguettes. For breakfast, French people put butter and jam on the bread and dip it into a bowl of coffee or hot chocolate. Sounds good, right? Here, try a fresh piece of baguette right out of the oven. Here is more information. Average. Last summer was hotter than average. Ban. Dogs are banned in this restaurant. Consider. I consider him a good friend. Crust. Ian likes sandwiches with the crusts cut off. Diagonally. Liz normally cuts her sandwiches diagonally. Expose. Chris exposed his skin to the sun for too long, so now it is red. Loaf. We just baked a loaf of banana bread. Maximum. The elevator can hold a maximum number of 10 people. Typical. This painting is typical of her work. Yeast. Yeast can be used in making beer. Doesn't the baguette sound like a really wonderful snack? I hope I can try one soon. And hope you get to get one too. See you next time.
See you next time.